China launches artificial sun, the world will never be the same. In October 2024, specialists from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration recorded a light signal coming from the area of the Tarim Basin in western China, whose intensity surpassed any known industrial source. This pulse was not an accident or a natural phenomenon, but the result of the first full-scale test of a system for wireless transmission of energy over ultra-long distances. While the Western world was discussing the ethical aspects of introducing artificial intelligence into social networks, deep within the Asian giant, an architecture had been completed that effectively cancels the physical boundaries of power grids. Imagine a world where electricity is transmitted through the ionosphere to any point on the planet without a single wire, turning entire regions into autonomous energy hubs. This is not science fiction and not theoretical material from old textbooks, but a reality confirmed by monitoring data from climate systems in 2025. The traditional idea of China as the world's factory of cheap goods is hopelessly outdated and no longer reflects current reality. What we see today is the result of implementing a long-term plan to create a parallel technological civilization that relies on different physical principles and a different logic of process management. Recent reports from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology indicate that the gap in the field of quantum computing between East and West has reached a critical point in favor of Beijing. We are used to trusting familiar maps of progress, but what if those maps intentionally show us false landmarks, while the real revolution is happening in closed cities that do not exist in tourist guidebooks? The question is not whether the rest of the world will be able to catch up with these achievements, but whether we understand the true goal of this total digital and energy transformation that is unfolding right before our eyes. The energy of stars and a challenge to the laws of thermodynamics. At the beginning of 2025, scientists from the Institute of Plasma Physics of the Chinese Academy of Sciences announced that they had achieved stable plasma confinement in an artificial sun installation for a record 1,500 seconds. This result exceeds the performance of any international consortium by several times and raises doubts about the necessity of traditional fuel sources already within the next decade. Official representatives of the Oak Ridge National Laboratory in the United States are carefully studying these data because the next-generation magnetic traps used by Chinese colleagues operate on principles that were previously considered theoretically impossible. The scientific discussion continues, and one hypothesis suggests the use of photonic crystals to stabilize thermal flows, which makes it possible to literally tame the energy of stars under earthly conditions. Think about how global geopolitics will change when the concept of resource scarcity disappears forever. Chinese engineers are not simply building power plants, they're creating the foundation for a new form of state sovereignty that does not depend on supplies of oil or gas. In 2026, a solar farm covering more than 100 square miles, which is about 260 square kilometers, was put into operation in Gansu province. This facility is so massive that it begins to influence local weather conditions, creating its own microclimatic zones. But this is where the strangest part begins, because according to data from NOAA meteorological satellites, temperature anomalies in this area indicate that the facility is used not only for generating electricity, but also for something much larger connected with ionospheric research. The quantum protocol and the end of the age of privacy. While the global community is concerned with issues of cybersecurity, the first quantum communication network in the world protected from any type of information interception was launched in Shanghai. Recent evidence shows that the use of entangled photons makes it possible to transmit data instantly across a distance of thousands of miles, bypassing the limitations of the speed of light in traditional environments. Tsinghua University, in its report for 2024, states that their quantum key distribution system makes hacking practically impossible even for the most powerful supercomputers of the future. This creates a situation in which one part of the planet becomes completely transparent for observation, while another hides behind an impenetrable digital shield inaccessible to external analysis. Imagine for a moment a system for governing society where algorithms predict a person's actions before he even realizes them. The introduction of fourth-generation neural networks into the urban infrastructure of Shenzhen has made it possible to reduce the crime rate almost to zero. But the price of this calm remains the subject of heated debate. The Smithsonian Institution, in its study of the urbanism of the future, notes that the Chinese model of integrating technology into everyday life is the largest social experiment in the history of humanity. Here, an important question arises that each of us must ask ourselves. Are we ready to exchange the remnants of our private lives for absolute security and technological comfort offered by this new architecture of governance systems? Highways of the future and the architecture of space. The construction of vacuum trains capable of reaching speeds of up to 1,000 miles per hour, which is equivalent to 1,600 kilometers per hour, has ceased to be just an ambitious project. In 2025, a prototype of a magnetic levitation capsule was successfully launched under low-pressure conditions at a testing ground in Shanghai province. This facility is so massive that it begins to influence local weather conditions, creating its own microclimatic zones. But this is where the strangest part begins, because according to data from NOAA meteorological satellites, temperature anomalies in this area indicate that the facility is used not only for generating electricity, but also for something much larger connected with ionospheric research. The American Society of Civil Engineers acknowledges that China today is ahead of the rest of the world in transport logistics by at least 30 years. These highways do not simply connect cities, they stitch the space of the country into a single living organism where traveling between megacities takes less time than a subway ride within London or New York. But the technological miracle lies not only in speed, but in the materials that allow these structures to exist. The use of graphene composites and self-healing concrete, developed in the laboratories of Peking University in 2024, makes it possible to build facilities with a projected service life of 300 years. This radically differs from the Western model of consumption, oriented toward quick replacement and planned obsolescence. China is building for centuries, creating physical infrastructure that is meant to outlive the current economic system. A logical assumption appears that these megaprojects are part of a global strategy for preparing for climate changes that could make the cities we are used to unfit for life already by the middle of the century. Intellectual autonomy and your choice. We are standing at the threshold of a moment when information stops being just a collection of facts and becomes an instrument of fundamental change in perception. Everything we discuss today, from quantum networks to artificial stars, points to the fact that the world we knew is rapidly moving into the past. China's modern technological achievements are not simply the achievements of one country, they are a challenge to the very concept of human development. Recent publications in the journal Nature in 2026 emphasize that the speed of technological singularity in the Asian region may lead to the division of humanity into two technological species already by 2030. This forces us to reconsider our views on education, career, and even survival in a world where the rules of the game change every second. Your intellectual autonomy begins with rejecting ready-made answers and with the desire to look behind the facade of official news feeds. We invite you not simply to observe this process, but to become researchers of your own reality, checking every fact and building your own logical chains. If you want to dive deeper into the analysis of the hidden architectures of our world and understand what other systems are changing our lives right now, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Share this video with those who are ready for a serious conversation about the future, and write in the comments which of these technological breakthroughs seems the most significant to you. In the next episode, we will examine what data is hidden behind projects of deep ocean exploration and why this is directly connected with the space program of a new generation.